And welcome everybody to tonight's Proto Michigan 200 here on the Esports Racing Network. My name is Thomas Brandon. Thank you very much for joining me for what should be an exciting night of NASCAR Cup Series racing here at the virtual Michigan Speedway. Like I said, tonight we have the Proto Michigan 200, and that is not miles, that is 200 laps. That's right, we're going full length for this event with $500 purse on the line, $175 to the winner. Practice is just now wrapping up, and we have got qualifying getting ready to kick off here before we get started with 200 laps of non-stop action. So 30 drivers getting ready to hit the track here for their qualifying runs. And after that, we will take a look at the starting grid and get this party started. All right, as it looks like qualifying runs are getting underway. And before we get this started, as these drivers are laying down their laps here, tonight's race, as we said, is brought to you by Proto Towing for this 200 lap event. Good weather, shouldn't be rained out. Looks like we've got 74 degrees, 54% humidity, partly cloudy, and 2 miles per hour for the wind, which will probably be a lot more once these cup cars are going 200 miles per hour around the track tonight. Definitely going to pick up some speed as we've got 30 cars. Definitely tight pack racing here. These Gen 6 cars do run tight, although this is not a restrictor plate race. You will see a lot of pack racing here on the track at Michigan Speedway. It's a very big, pretty much wide open track. You do lift a little bit when you go into these flatter corners, but it's only just to give the motor a breath before you stomp back on it and get the throttle put back down. So qualifying looks like it is wrapping up, as we should be getting our results here coming in. There we go. On the board right now with a quick time is Jordan Weaver. Time still coming in. Looks like Weaver, Carter, and did Sawyers jump him? Looks like it. Sawyers, Denton. So it looks like it's going to be Jordan Weaver, Christopher Carter, J.W. Sawyers, Marcus Adams, and Kyle Smalley, the top 5. Once we get everybody else here wrapped up, we'll go through tonight's starting grid for the 200 lap main event. So before we started the broadcast here, we had qualifying heat races as these drivers race their way in to this 200 lap event. So they have already been on the track. This is a fixed setup, so everybody's got the same car. It's going to be completely on the driver to find out who is going to be the best tonight in the race. Setup is not going to be an issue. Everyone's got the same thing. Now, coming from someone like myself who spends an ungodly amount of time building setups for other people, I can tell you right now, not all setups can fit all drivers. So there are going to be some drivers that you'll see at the beginning who might have a hard time adapting to the car, but once they do, they should be able to figure things out. And with 200 laps, we've got, 3 stages. It looks like the stage 1 is going to be 50 laps, and then we have a 100 lap stage for stage 2, and then we'll wrap it up with a 50 lap shootout to close out the event. So qualifying wrapped up here on the speedway, as we can now bring you tonight's starting grid for the 200 lap main event. So on the pole, we've got Jordan Weaver, and outside of Weaver is Christopher Carter. Starting in the 3rd position is J.W. Sawyers, and outside of him is Marcus Adams. Then we've got Kyle Smalley in the 5th position and Abraham Vela in the 6th. Then in row number 4, it's Chad Denton, and outside of Denton is Davis Lewis. And we've got Larry Eddy and Matthew Kosher. In row number 6, we have Robbie Darnell, and outside of Darnell is Alexander Kroenke, and please forgive me if I'm saying that incorrectly. Then we've got and I just lost my spot there. Oh, okay, there we go. Then we've got John Creighton and Rick Javorka in row number 7. In row number 8 is David Nance and Joey Kennedy, followed by Wade Gladson and Nick Sawyer. Then we've got Michael Jones and Cameron Ingram in row number 10. In row number 11 is Corey Vaughn, and outside of Vaughn is Bobby Johnson. Row number 12 will have Michael Anthony, and outside of him will be James Lowe. Then we've got Philip Temples on the inside of row number 13, and outside of Temples is Joseph Stewart. In row number 14, we've got Scott Grove, and outside of Grove is Richard Robb. And then in row number 15, row number 10, I got that wrong. Row number 15, we've got Travis O'Connor, and outside of O'Connor is D.W. Sawyers. And riding a shotgun tonight in this 31 car field is Billy Sigmund Jr. So, like I said, 200 laps tonight on this Pro-To Michigan 200, presented by Flying Aces TV, and it should be a good one. First segment will be 50 laps. These drivers do have 8 sets of tires, so I don't foresee them using all 8 sets of tires, but they've got them in case they need them. As the drivers are now pulling onto the track here and pacing, as we are going to get ready to get underway. I gotta tell you, I'm really looking forward. I've been looking forward to this race all week long, and I'm not even running in it. I'm just broadcasting it. This is my first NASCAR broadcast, so I'm really hoping y'all enjoy it. And hopefully the broadcast turns out as good as I know this race will. It should be fun. All right, I know I've only seen a couple of cars, but Christopher Carter there on the outside right now. I'm going to have to give him the best looking paint award so far. That thing is sweet. All right, pace car is off, and we've got Weaver and Carter bringing us down, and we are underway for the Pro-To Michigan 200 here on the iRacing platform, as Weaver jumps out to a early lead over Carter, Adams, Sawyers, and Smalley. Carter looking to the inside, looking for the early pass there on Carter, heading into 3 and 4, and he's going to get it, and Weaver's going to fall in quickly right behind Carter there. As you can already see, these guys drafting down the front stretch. We talked about it in the pre-race. This is absolutely something that you are going to see them doing constantly throughout this race. The draft is going to play a huge role here. Like I said, it's not Daytona or Talladega, but it does make a difference. So Carter leading the pack down the backstretch with Weaver, Adams, Sawyers, and Smalley all in tow here, your top 5. Not much battling happening right now, which is understandable. As you can see, we have a long ways to go here. Carter starting to open up a gap here over Weaver early on, but Weaver pulling back up now as he gets that tow down the front stretch. It can almost be a disadvantage at times to get too big of a lead on people, as they can just really suck up fast on you in these cars. These cars have such a huge advantage when we look at the draft. The aerodynamics on these cars are just incredible. It allows for a really, really high amount of speed into the corners and allows those cars that are behind in that slipstream, that draft, to really pull up on them. And back in the pack right now here in 12th. Now into 10th. James Lowe making a move quickly as he has already moved up 14 spots through the field. He is coming and coming fast. So didn't do much in qualifying as he started back in the 24th position, but he is already moving up really, really quickly here in the early stages of this race. We are only on lap 6. So definitely someone we're going to have to keep an eye on, as Lowe is moving up the field fast, and he's just passed another, and he's already found himself in the 9th place position after starting 24th in the field. So we'll keep an eye on Lowe as he is definitely climbing up the field. As we've got 3 wide here through turns 2, as these guys are dicing all over the track trying to find a way through, as it's really, really tight racing. And that has allowed our leaders to just pull away, as Carter and Weaver are just gone from the rest of the field, as these guys are all back here racing in a pack. You got 2 abreast for it looks like 5 or 6 rows from 6th place on back, as these guys are all battling. And there in the 19 car, we got Philip Temples. Temples has moved up 20 spots. He started 25th. Him and Lowe both on the move. Temples has now moved into the top 5. So Temples started 25th, has moved up to the 5th position. And he is definitely on his way to the front. And he has more than enough time to get there, as we are not even to lap 10 yet of this 200 lap race. So Temples definitely on the move. A lot of drivers moving up quite a few spots. Temples battling right there with Sawyer, who's also moved up 12 spots, and then Lowe's right behind them, who's moved up 15, and you've got Cameron Ingram, who's moved up 13. So all of these guys have moved up a ton of spots. So definitely showing speed here in the race. As one thing to always note in these really long cup races is that qualifying not nearly as important as it is in them shorter sprint races. If you have a bad qualifying run but can put together a good race, you can find your way to the front. We see it happen all the time in both sim racing and in the real world. You don't have to start up front to finish up front in these races, especially when you're racing 200 laps. In the car now with Temples, as he has moved up to 3rd, and he has got Weaver and Carter in his sights. Carter, who's got a 1 second lead over Weaver, and Weaver's 2 seconds ahead of Temples, but Temples definitely trying to bring them in, as he has definitely shown a lot of speed early on in this race. Back up front, our leader, Christopher Carter. He jumped out to an early lead on the first lap there, and he has just been slowly pulling away from the rest of the field. Jordan Weaver behind him in 2nd, and then we've got Philip Temples, who we were just riding with, who's moved all the way up 22 spots so far. Then we've got Kyle Smalley in the 4th position, followed by Marcus Adams in 5th. Then it's Chad Denton, James Lowe, who has moved up 17 positions, Nick Sawyer, who's moved up 10, Matthew Kosher in 9th, and then Cameron Ingram, who has moved up 10 positions and finds himself in the 10th position. So a lot of guys moving up quite a bit through the race, definitely making a charge towards the front. A few drivers, though, have been dropping quite a bit. J.W. Sawyers, who started in the 3rd position, is finding himself back in 15th right now. So a rough start for Sawyers here in the first part of this race. Same thing with Davis Lewis, who has also dropped back 9 positions. So we'll have to see if these guys are going to be able to make a late race run or even a late push here on this first run with these tires. With these cars all having the same fixed setup, saving your tires is going to be absolutely critical to how well you do over the course of this race. In fact, you know, today I was actually in a session with the individual, and we were driving the Xfinity cars, and we went out and we had each done the same exact run. In fact, he was following me, and I was following him. So we ran the exact same line, almost identical lap times. And at the end of the run, his tires had worn off almost 15% more than mine. So taking care of your stuff is definitely critical to your success in these really long races. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as this race continues. Back in 7th place with James Lowe. Lowe continues his climb towards the front, as you've got Sawyer right behind him, as these guys continue trying to climb up through the field. 7th, 8th, and 9th have moved up a combined 38 positions between Lowe, Sawyer, and Ingram. Sawyer has moved up 17 spots, or Sawyer's moved up, 10 spots, along with Ingram 10 spots, and Lowe 17. So these guys continue their charge through the field. And the battle for second is now on as Philip Temples has caught Jordan Weaver, and he is bringing some people with him as Smalley, Adams, Denton, and Lowe all lined up right behind him. Weaver trying to hold on here as Temples looking to make that move and get around him. On board. Oh, and Temples moves up the track, it looks like, and that's going to allow Smalley to look inside, as now Smalley's looking to make that pass on Temples. And that'll happen when you get that run in the corner. It's a beautiful thing to catch the draft, but it is a bad thing when you're in behind somebody. You don't have any of that downforce on your nose. It'll make the car just push right on up the track. It looks like that's what happened to Temples there in 1 and 2, and that opened the door. Smalley got by. And that allowed Jordan Weaver to pull back away from Temples, who had been climbing throughout this whole race. Back up front, though, your leader, as he approaches the start-finish line to get to lap number 20 of 200, is Christopher Carter, and Carter has just maintained that gap over the rest of the field. He's been pulling away, and it just looks like he's continuing to hold it. It's been about a second and a half consistently over second place, and he's just continuing to hold on to that. So no challenge right now for Christopher Carter, as all the action is happening behind him, which is probably one of the reasons he's been able to just be out here on cruise control the last 15 laps or so. We have a battle going on back here as Lowe, Ingram, Sawyer, all of the guys who've been climbing up through the field are all now battling back here, as this field has bunched up and is looking to make a move. All of these guys, with the exception of Adams, who started up towards the front, and Weaver, all of these guys have all pretty much charged up from the middle on back. So Lowe has moved up 17 spots and now in 7th, looking to continue his charge towards the front, but right now he's got Marcus Adams and Chad Denton to deal with in front of him. And we've got a 12-car train right now all lined up trying to catch the leader. And they just cannot seem to close that gap anymore on Christopher Carter. Carter's just been cruising and just holding on to that lead. having a close call there getting in the tree. That's going to push Lowe up the track as he got a little bit loose as it looked like Denton came up slightly. They probably didn't know he was there. It's really hard to see in these things. Even if you've got your mirror on, you don't know where they're at a lot of times. There's a lot of blind spots. Sometimes your spotter's not paying too much attention, and it's very easy to come up on somebody without knowing it. As these guys continue to battle it out here for seconds, from 2nd to 12th on back. Your leader, Christopher Carter, starting to see his lead get wiped away. It's down now below a second. He's been around a second and a half over these guys the entire time, and it's now shrunk down. Weaver, Smalley, and Adams are all closing in. Weaver now less than a half a second behind, right around a half a second behind Christopher Carter. So those guys are catching him. It looks like that draft might be a little bit faster now, especially as we've gotten the tire, some wear on the tires. We're 28 laps into this run. These tires will definitely start to go away at this time. And the bad thing is you still got a ways to go before we get to the end of stage 1. Jordan Weaver is coming. He is coming. As you can see him closing in on Christopher Carter. Oh, and Carter got really loose coming out of the corner there. Just like we were talking about, those tires were starting to wear away, and now that has allowed Weaver to close up right on Carter's bumper as we head into turn 3. Weaver looking down to the inside of Carter as he's got his nose on the inside, and he looks like he's gonna get by as they head down the backstretch. Weaver's got the line on the inside, but Carter's got the cars behind him. That draft can help. Who's Smalley gonna go with? Is he gonna pick the inside or the outside? Smalley gets in behind Weaver and looks like he's going to give him a push and then goes back to the outside. Just cannot decide who he wants to go with. Maybe he'll try the middle, thread the needle. So 2 by 2, they're battling for the lead, and Carter's able to hold off the assault from Weaver as Weaver now drops back, and now it's Smalley's turn to take his crack at leading this event. He's going to waste no time as he looks to the inside of Carter through the tri-oval and dips down to that inside line, heading off into turn number 1, and it looks like he's going to get it, and it looks like he's also going to bring some drivers with him. As Carter's up on the outside, he's opened the doors. Denton's going to look to move to the inside of Carter and grab that second place position as we head down the backstretch here on lap number 32. So Kyle Smalley, your new leader here in the Proto Michigan 200 on lap number 32, as Christopher Carter has been leading the whole way until now. But Carter's not done. He's fighting back. He's looking for a run here. And he has brought some company, as there is a whole pack of cars battling for the top position, as you can throw a blanket over the top 12 right now. So we've got Kyle Smalley in the lead, followed by Christopher Carter, Adams, Denton, and Temples, your top 5. And as these guys are dicing it out back here for second and third place, Smalley starting to pull away slowly from the pack. We saw Carter do this at the start of the race. They were able to catch him after 32 laps, and now Smalley's looking to see if he can do the same thing. Oh, as Marcus Adams now looks to the inside, trying to make his move for that top spot, but Smalley able to get back around him down the backstretch, as Adams now has got that run, overtaking Carter for second place. So Adams took his shot, wasn't able to complete the pass, but he's still right there behind Smalley, with Carter, Denton, and Vila in the 5th position, rounding out your top 5. As this 12-car pack up front battles for the lead. It has been this way since the green flag has dropped. They have separated themselves from the rest of the field. And you can see the gap there on the track. We've got two distinct packs here. Top 12, then we've got another car, and then we've got another pack there from about 13th to 30th. So These top 12 drivers have really separated themselves, and it doesn't look like they're going to be getting challenged by anybody else but themselves here, as we're about 10.5 laps away from wrapping up this first segment in this 200-lap event here at Michigan. Adams looking to make the move here on Smalley, but no, ducks back in, falls back in line as they head off down into turn 3. So hard to pass right now for these guys. These guys, their tires are worn. Some of these drivers, especially when you look a little bit behind them, when you've got Ingram and Lowe, Temples, these guys who have moved up 14, 15 spots, they've put a lot of wear on those tires moving up, and now it's really hard. That car gets slipping and sliding all over the track, and it makes it really rough. Cameron Ingram looking to the inside of Carter as he's looking to grab that third position. Ingram, who's moved up 16 positions so far, looking to put himself in that top 3 as stage 1 is winding down here. Smalley and Adams slowly pulling away from the pack as there's a lapped car right in front of the leaders. Smalley 191 miles per hour heading down into turn number 1 on these old tires. That is a handful, I can tell you right now from experience. That car wants to slide. It's hard to hang on to it. And now you pulled up. You've got a lap car in front of you. You've got Adams behind you wanting to take the lead. You've got to make a move quickly. You can't sit there and wait. If you open the door, Adams will take advantage of it. And that's what Adams is looking to do right now, as Smalley drifts up the track slightly and Adams ducks in him and then falls right back in line, looking to catch a run here as we head down into turn number 1. Adams looking to go to the high side around Smalley. And they're pulling in. We got green flag pit stops here on the speedway as first and second place pulling into the pits here on lap 45 of 200. So the leaders begin the cycle of green flag pit stops here on lap 45. And very fast pit stops for both Smalley and Adams there as they hit back onto the track. Smalley back out in front of Adams, and we'll have to see how things cycle around as now Chad Denton is your leader, followed by James Lowe, Jordan Weaver, Abraham Vela, and John Creighton, your top 5. low. Looks to the inside there on Denton. As now we've got more cars coming down here for their pit stops. Chad Denton will be coming down, looking to make his green flag pit stop. Once the leaders come, you've got to start going. So it's Denton and Weaver now pulling in to make their green flag pit stops here on lap 47. And a very quick stop for Weaver as Denton gets held up there in the pits, and that's going to cost him on the track. Valuable track time lost there in the pits for Denton. We'll have to see if he can make it up here. As now up front, we've got Matthew Kosher leading his first laps of the race, followed by Vela and Darnell in the third position. So far, these guys pushing it as far as they can. Now 48 laps for Kosher, Vela, and Darnell's at 47, while Smalley and Adams had all gone in on lap 44. So it's going to be interesting to see how long they're going to try to hold on to this through the rest of the run, as we are on lap 49 here of 200. And here comes Kosher as he's going to now make his green flag pit stop here on lap 49, hitting into lap 50. So that'll put Vela now up front. And caution is now out on the speedway as we are going to wrap up segment 1 here, as that's going to end it. As Vela will bring himself into pit. And as we cycle back through, your leader before we started our round of green flag pit stops is now the leader again. Kyle Smalley here will retake the lead, followed by Marcus Adams, James Lowe, Jordan Weaver, and looks like Nick Sawyer. So your results for stage number 1 here will be in just a second. So awesome first segment of the race, as we had no problems, no cautions, green flag start to finish of that stage. And I gotta tell you, that was really exciting. I had a guy and I enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. That was a lot of fun to see those 12 cars literally just battling the entire time for the lead. It was really, really fun to watch, and those guys did a really good job of racing each other, not only hard, but clean. All right, so stage 1 in the books. As everybody will now come back down. And fill up with fuel and get 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, as now stage 2 is going to be 100 laps. And Smalley looks like he lost a couple of positions there in the pit, so we'll have to see how it shakes out as they get back out on the track. And it looks like Christopher Carter is going to win the race off of pit road. So your early race leader, who had fallen back a few spots there, kind of got lost in the shuffle during the green flag pit stops, and has now won the race off pit road. So we'll see how everything shakes out here in just a few minutes as we get lined up to get ready to go under green for stage 2. All right, so stage 2 will be ready to kick off here in just a second. We're going to take a really quick break, and then we will be right back to bring you stage number 2.